This is Diego Cordovez.
Adam Schoenfeld.
Welcome to The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker. We've had 2 episodes with David Baker, and I like this young man. He's got a future.
He's got something.
We can put him out there, put him in our archives with faith that he's going to keep producing in the poker world. So we're going to roll in with part 3, and if you missed either the first 2 parts, they're on Card Player TV. Speaking of the mixed games, you reached the final table of the 50K Players Tournament, Players Championship. And you were the chip leader, I think, right, when you got to the final table.
Yeah, first or second.
Yeah, and watching on TV, I think you were playing No Limit, and you tried a very ambitious play, trying to get a player off a hand. I don't remember all the specifics, but I remember you had like a King 10 or a...
Yeah, grinder flatted my under the gun raise. That's actually kind of a weird spot because when I flop second pair with second kicker like that,
right,
and he bets, it's he's almost never calling with worse, but the grinder's range is so wide there that I'm ahead almost all of the time. So
you read your hand as being the best hand.
Yeah, I don't think I can't move him off a queen there. Right. I thought that he bet full pot or something. I think he bet 300K and he had 1.1 behind or something like that.
Queen 10?
Yeah, Queen 10 rainbow. So I thought he could, when he bet, that he was folding to my raise a lot, that I had the best hand a lot, but...
Interesting, because when I saw the hand, my interpretation was that you were just trying to put the pressure on him to lay down his hand, and I thought, that seems like an error just because... That's not really his game to be laying down.
No, I never try to make grinder fold.
So interesting that I'm glad you explained that you really thought you had the best hand.
Well, it's he's not calling with worse, but I just don't want to check call or bet. And I could have bet and made a good turn decision if he had just called. That's always an option. But and checking may be a mistake.
You were out of position. You'd raised and he'd flatted you, so now you check raised him on the flop.
So I checked and he bet full pot, and I didn't really want to call and get bluffed off on the turn. I didn't want to come it to come an 8 and he jams, and then or a brick and he jams, and suddenly this he could easily have Jack 9, King Jack, Ace Jack, anything like that, a straight draw that he'd probably just bet jam after I checked twice. So.
Did the full pot bet by Michael sort of...
That's oftentimes that comes across as weakness when people bet so much. It's I've got top pair, but with a weak kicker, or I don't even have anything.
The full pot is odd, so it presents some issues.
I was definitely really, really confused, and maybe that's what he wanted, but I didn't know what to make of his bet, sorta, and when it boiled down, I had a pretty strong hand versus grinder whose range is super wide in that spot.
Yeah,
I don't really like how I play that hand, but
fair enough.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had any second thoughts about it, just because it proved to be so decisive. You got to the final table, you're the chip leader, you ended up 7th. He got to the final table, he ends up winning the whole thing, and it was huge for him. It's huge for anybody to win that tournament. So it's just interesting that one hand just kind of pivoted so much of what happened there.
Yeah, it was just kind of a ragged spot for me because I'd played with them a fair bit in the past, but never deep. I think I played, a few, 100 hands, couple hundred hands or something, which is a fair bit for someone who only play live tournament splits.
Right.
But it's all before the 153 level, so never deep. And I'd play with them on the on leading up to the final table, but. Not No Limit. So that was the first time that we had ever been in a situation close to that in ever in the tourney, and pretty much ever in our lives. The other hands I had with him was just he defended the big blind and we played 500 chip pot. I knew that his range was really wide, but that's about all. Post flop tendencies, when the bet sizes change, something someone who bets 150 into a 400 pot in a in the first level, they might have much different tendencies when it becomes thousands and the blinds become in thousands. So I didn't know what to do, kind of, and I had no read. Almost.
He's not afraid to put a lot of chips in the pot, and he's not afraid to play big pots with marginal hands. So it's not as if you can just put him on a polarized range of hands here. Even after that action, he can have a very wide range. Even then.
Yeah, I think that. I don't know, Queen 10 is just such a good texture for me to stab on as the early position pre-flop raiser. I thought that he would see it as, you know, a pretty big weakness, and
Right.
even bet with like fives or something just to like protect against my ace nine or something like that, which is still probably check folding. But
I agree with you there. Even now, to me, it sounds like a very tough spot, and his bet sizing is enough to drive a man insane.
I mean, the good news is that right away you win the deuce to 7 bracelet, so that takes a lot of the sting out of whatever
Yeah,
bad
for
feelings
sure.
you might have.
Still a great World Series.
Yes. It's a topic that's probably been beaten to the ground, but there's another David Baker out in the world,
Mhm.
and who I've known for a while, who actually reached the final 2 tables, I think, of the main event this year.
he beat me by 5 points in the Player of the Year race, which is 1 min cash.
It is kind of funny and somewhat unfortunate to have someone with the exact same name for both of you guys, because both of you have been very accomplished, and especially this year has been a big year for both of you. And people now are discerning that it's 2 different people and different generations, but nevertheless, there still is confusion, I suppose, at times, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Just like yesterday, one of my friends was like, "Yeah, my mom said she, you know, read some interview. You know, you're talking of like, no, not me this time." But yeah, during the series, it was nuts because we were just trading deep runs
Right.
and final tables. Like it was just back to back to back. And then there was one where we had the exact same seat at. He was 2 tables down for me in like the 9th seed, and I guess we both like to walk around and like stand up when we're playing, so I'd always walk around and I'd look and he'd be like, give him the nod like 20 times.
This is the greatest prop bet spot ever, where you and he will just next World Series have a personal competition, and the loser has to change their name or take a middle initial, you know, a prominent middle initial. There you go.
We both have the same middle initial too, which is it's nuts.
That is crazy. The thing is, if one of you guys had really just accomplished a ton and the other guy faded into obscurity,
Yeah,
there'd
it's
be
not
no
a problem. It would be over
We
for
both
me.
seem to be on the rise
Yeah.
at the same time. But I don't put it past you to actually achieve your goal of being the best player in the world. And I mean that because you obviously have a very analytical, very serious approach. I mean, it's one thing to say it, but you're backing it up as far as really working on your game. So it'll be fun to watch. And this year's been fun to watch. Just you've emerged on the scene. I never want to put people down, but you know, people win a big no limit tournament. You might have won a couple of coin flips, but to make it deep in the mixed games and the 50K, to win the deuce to 7, to succeed in a variety of formats speaks to your real skill and dedication. So it's gonna be fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming
Thanks,
by.
David.
Thanks a lot.
And we'll clarify that you are Bakes, David Baker
Sure.
Bakes, just if there's any further confusion. Thanks for joining us on The Scoop, brought to you by Full Tilt Poker.